Good evening. Welcome to the Yorktown Central School District Board of Education meeting for October 2nd, 2023. Can I have a motion in executive session to discuss matters related to the employment history of particular pedagogical employees and the employment of a particular corporation?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Can I have a motion to go back into public session?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good evening. Welcome to the Yorktown Central School District Board of Education meeting for October 2nd, 2023. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for those of our armed forces and those in our community who have lost loved ones, especially the grandmother of William Ficker, the grandmother of Dana Monaco, and the mother-in-law of Lori Schneider-Bilton.
Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. So we're going to start with the auditor's report, so I'll turn it over to you, Ron.
All right, so the annual year-end audit has come to a close for the 2022-23 school year. We have our auditors from R.S. Abrams here this evening. I'm happy to turn the presentation over to the chair of the audit committee of the board, Reshmi Bose, and certainly Ms. Sanfilippo as our business official can certainly comment as well. But Reshmi, if you'd like to introduce Brendan.
Absolutely. Well, Brendan, thank you for joining us this evening. That's Brendan Nelson, partner at R.S. Abrams. The audit committee met last week with Brendan and Lisa's team. I will turn it over to you to share the good news.
Sounds good. Thank you, Reshmi. All right, so as Reshmi said, my name is Brendan Nelson. I'm a partner at R.S. Abrams. We are the district's current external auditors. So I'm just going to provide a brief overall summary of how the recently completed audit went for the close of the 22-23 school year. So there are 4 reports in total that we do issue each year. So you have your basic financial statements, your extra classroom activities report, which is all the activity of your student clubs, and then there are 2 communication letters. So on both reports, both the basic financial statements and the extra classroom report, the district did receive an unmodified opinion from our firm. So this is essentially what's referred to as a clean opinion. It basically means that we did not identify anything throughout the course of our audit that would have prevented us from issuing such an opinion. So in terms of the communication letters, one of them is referred to as the management letter. This would be where we would communicate any findings, recommendations, control deficiencies, anything like that. So we are happy to report that there was nothing of note that is listed in that management letter. So we do want to commend the district on the strong system of internal controls that they put in place. It is not all that common that we have a management letter with nothing to speak to in it. So again, we want to thank the business office for all their hard work in helping us get through the audit. So they did end the fiscal year with a general fund unassigned fund balance of about $4.626 million. So this is the maximum amount allowed by New York State real property tax law, which is 4% of your subsequent year's total budget. So again, all in all, it was a very clean audit, something that the district should be proud of. So if anyone has any questions, comments, I'd be more than happy to address them.
Thank you. Thank you to Lisa and her team. That sounds really good. We appreciate all the hard work of the business office to get that. I'll start with questions. Cheryl, any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Well, Reshmi, I know you. Is there anything you want to say?
I'll come back. Go ahead.
Okay, Mike? Catalina?
No.
No. Even extra classroom activity fund was good?
Yes, we had no reportable findings from the ECAF activity. So I think this is the second year in a row as well for this district. So again, very uncommon to not have findings, especially within the extra classroom activities, just because of the nature of that fund, how it's disaggregated across buildings. There are multiple student treasurers, club advisors involved, everyone who has to gather all the required documentation. So it is very difficult to have a clean extra classroom audit as well. So again, we want to commend the district.
Thank you. I've got nothing. It's good. It's great. Go ahead, Rashmi. I'll let you wrap it up.
Catalina, did you have any questions? No. Okay.
No, I asked her.
Yeah. So, well, just a couple of things. So, Brendan, it's always a pleasure to work with you and your team. So thank you. And also thank you for working with our timelines before, like coming here to present to the entire board before the filing date. So we all have a chance to look at it. So we definitely appreciate that. And Lisa, thank you. Thank you for everything. So,
Ron? Lisa, you have anything you want to add?
Sure. I just want to add that tremendous amount of respect for everyone in the business office. They are the ones that process every transaction on a daily basis and keep us clean and in line. So I just really want to thank everyone from Alicia Sigvartson, our treasurer, who keeps the general ledger, to everyone in the business office for doing a great job. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Great
Thank
seeing
you.
everyone.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
So, Ron, we're moving on to good news.
Yes. So this evening, we have Mr. DeGennaro and his team here to present the good news topic to our board and to our community. Over the course of several years, we've been adding different elective options for our students. We've added courses in the area of engineering, in the area of app design, in the arts, in so many different areas, psychology. There have been so many wonderful advances in the academic program, and I commend Mr. DeGennaro and his team for all of their efforts, and certainly our curriculum office for all of their efforts, and for our teachers for stepping up to teach new courses that they may not necessarily be expert in yet, but have grown their skill set to be able to deliver a wonderful learning opportunity for our students. So this evening, I'll start with Mr. DeGennaro, and then he'll certainly share the podium with his colleagues from the building. But I'd like to introduce Mr. DeGennaro, principal of Yorktown High School, to share with you another new and exciting opportunity for students at Yorktown High School. Mr. DeGennaro.
Thank you, Dr. Hatter. Good evening, Mrs. Carbone, Board of Education. Thank you for the kind words and equally the support that you give us and Mrs. Ammerling and Mrs. Sanfilippo from your offices and the district office, and right up to the Board of Education as well, and certainly to the faculty, the students, and the community support that we get each year to enrich our program. And that's what we're here to do, and challenge our students and give them exciting opportunities. So we added 4 courses this year, and tonight we're going to share 2 of them with you, and I have some people here who are going to walk you through the programs. Administratively, as you know, we have 3 assistant principals. One of our assistant principals will not speak tonight, not part of this presentation, because it doesn't fall under her direct supervision, even though she supervises everything, and that's Ms. Prisioni, who's right to my right. And behind me is Miss Newman, who's a teacher in the high school, who's also doing an administrative internship this year, this semester, with the district office as well as the building office. So that's and just a little quick background on how they'll talk a little bit about where the course came from, where it was initiated from, and how it goes through the process of approval. But I did want to share that having teachers lead it and bringing their passions forward makes it a lot easier than having great kids from great families, makes it that much easier to get them excited about opportunities that we believe most of our opportunities that we provide, or every academic opportunity, is advancing our curriculum and giving and preparing our kids not only for a great high school experience, but life after high school, and opening up some of their passions that they may not realize that they even have yet by some of these elective courses. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Garrett. Again, one of our assistant principals who oversees our English department, and she'll start us off with the English elective. Ms. Garrett?
Good evening. It's nice to see everyone. Thank you for having us. So since I began working with the English department in 2018, we've discussed the desire to offer elective courses to students who are not necessarily on an honors or advanced placement track, but are looking for variety in our humanities-based electives. Ms. Michelle Monaco has made significant progress towards this goal in the last few years. In the 2021-22 school year, she was one of 2 teachers to work in conjunction with SUNY Westchester to pilot 2 semester courses, Writing and Research and Writing and Literature, which offer students a rigorous, dynamic curriculum that can earn them 6 college credits at a SUNY school or other university. We're now in our 2nd year of offering these courses, and they've been met with great enthusiasm by rising seniors. More recently, Ms. Monaco proposed and drafted a semester-long course titled Film as Literature to present students with a high interest opportunity to analyze the common aspects of film and literature and their impact on the beliefs and values of society. We are pleased to be able to offer this course next semester and look forward to the continued growth of our elective offerings. I'll pass the mic to Ms. Monaco, who will give you a closer look at the course objectives and content. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Vicki. My name is Michelle Monaco, and I am one of the English department staff at the high school. We have talked collectively as teachers over the last few years about expanding our offerings of electives, coming up with new programs that might interest our students, and I don't want to say compete with the other departments, but it's not the easiest always to get kids interested in writing and reading. So I started to do a little bit of research, and I looked at some of our surrounding high schools and what they offer. And as it turns out, many of them offer some sort of a film studies course. Not for college credit necessarily, but just for the exploration of that field. And it gives the kids an opportunity to talk about the different aspects of filmmaking, interpreting thematically the literature elements that are brought to the screen. And we're hoping that it takes off. I do have a video. I don't know if it's ready to go. Oh, yep, here it is. So that's okay. One of the things I just want to add about the course is that there is writing involved. It's not where kids will just come in and see movies. We're gonna examine, critiques of movies and then teach them that style of writing so that they can produce their own, and then hopefully turn that into some type of a research based project on a movie of their choice at the end of the semester. Thank you very much. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, no, it's John.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see everybody. A little bit of history on the drone class that we just started. Last semester, sometime, I guess it was April, Sharik Bose, who's here tonight, came to me with an idea about starting a drone club. I thought it was a fantastic idea, especially in keeping with the E-STEAM initiative and the vision. I was just like, well, how are we going to get started? Who's going to be the advisor? He had all that figured out. That was not a problem. Luckily, we had Mr. Rubio step in as an advisor. And also, very luckily, we had Sharik's father, who was going to help us out with getting the whole thing started, which was very challenging, especially with the limited knowledge that I had and Mr. Rubio had. So basically, we started the club. I'm going to let Sharik go into the whole process of that. But I do want to talk about a little bit about the fantastic results we had that initiated the idea of a class. And so in keeping again with the E-STEAM vision, we thought it would be a great idea to start a drone class that we could have students possibly or most definitely get their certification in drone licensing, drone flying, basically. So it's called a Part 107 certificate. And that would be the result of, or the completion of the course would end up with a certification. So I do want to talk a little bit about why drones are so important. We do see drones more and more in the news, especially in the past 2 years in Ukraine. And we have a kind of a negative connotation for drones, unfortunately, but we will need drones very much in the future, and that's something we need to look at. Right now, they're already being used in real estate, construction, mining, and filmmaking, real estate, agriculture, transportation, communication. So it's exploding right now, but it's going to be a very important field in the future that we will need people for. So right now, the starting of a class for that in that area is very timely. So I'm going to turn it over right now to Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, who's our new drone class teacher. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. So we have a new course this year. This is the aeronautics class, but it also really piggybacked off of the club itself. So you can see here, this is a shot from the other day. Maybe you want to just show it off really quick to the group?
This is the drone that we built as part of the club, and we flew this exact drone in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, which I'll get more into details about in a little bit, but yeah.
So just to give you guys a sense, there's really sort of two things now. We have the club and the course. So what's really the focus here? Well, the Aeronautics Club is a after-school group of students that are really working to build a drone for the UAS Force STEM competition, which is a aeronautics competition that Sherrick's going to talk about in a little bit. And then the course itself is going to be more focused on the rules of flying, time in the air, so giving students an opportunity to actually practice flying the drones, and then as well preparing them for the FAA Part 107 certification exam. So I'm going to let Sherrick talk a little bit about the club.
So first, I want to start off by saying good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me here tonight. So this is our second year of the club running in the high school, and our goal for the club is to be able to build, program, and fly a drone so that it can fly completely autonomously, which means that it can fly off of a computer. We won't have a radio in our hands. It will just be the ground station or the computer that will be flying it. So I brought this drone in tonight to show you what we have built for Oshkosh, and this is what completed our set of missions, which I'll get into in a second. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, we compete in a competition called UAS for STEM. And the goal of UAS for STEM is to be able to build, program, and fly a drone to complete a set of missions that they gave us at the competition. Next slide, please. So, in this video, you will be able to see that our drone is completing a pattern that we designed that we called YHS. And the program on this pattern, as shown in the video, is to spell the letters YHS. This was to sharpen our programming skills. This is to sharpen our programming skills. How long do we want to go with this?
So as you can see, again, most of the time when it comes to flying a drone, you do need an operator controlling by hand. But here, this competition is all about setting waypoints, and then the drone will fly on its own, scan an area, and then return back with whatever information it collected. So that's sort of a big piece of that competition, making it automatic. So maybe the next slide, please.
Yes. So, as you can see on the screen, this is what our competition day looked like at Oshkosh. It was very busy, but of course, a lot of fun. And we made it to, it was an honor to be able to make it to not only nationals, but to Oshkosh AirVenture week as well. And I just want to say thank you to Miss Dr. Hatter, the Board of Education, and our Yorktown High School administration staff right here next to me, as they were the ones that made this possible for us to go to Oshkosh and enjoy our season. So thank you all for giving me this opportunity to speak to you tonight, but for allowing me to come here, in allowing me to share my passion for aeronautics with our wonderful Yorktown Central School District. Thank you.
So maybe you could talk them through what we're seeing in some of the photos here.
So here in the photos, here we just arrived in Oshkosh, and this is just the UAS for STEM. They had a safety briefing, so that's us right before the safety briefing, where we're all very nervous, but of course very excited to be in Oshkosh. So there is the drone, and we made a poster that we took with us to Oshkosh, and that's again by the safety briefing area with the poster as well with the drone. So that is our FRR, or Flight Readiness Review presentation, and we had to present on our drone and all the safety aspects that go into it as well. So that is the FRR presentation. That picture there is us getting ready to go in for the competition and setting up the drone. So one important aspect of the drone is, of course, getting it set up properly, because if you don't get it set up properly, it's difficult. So we're just going through everything and making sure everything's being set up, ready to complete the missions which they gave us. So this is part of it when we got to explore AirVenture a little bit. And AirVenture is a weekend where over 15,000 airplanes come in. So we were exploring AirVenture. We took helicopter rides. We are in a flight simulator. They had airplanes parked there, and they had nightly air shows, which we also got to watch. So that is a team picture in front of the Brown Arch, which is right by the flight line, and there are great views of the flight line and the air shows from there as well. So we enjoyed that aspect of AirVenture and being able to watch everything, and we were mesmerized by how many airplanes they were able to fit. Yeah. And thank you once again for having me tonight. Thank you.
So again, I'd just like to say that in their first year, they placed top 6 in the nation, and that's pretty impressive. So, congratulations again to you. So for the next portion, it's really a little bit more about the course itself. So the course is the pilot year. Pun is very much intended. All right. It's more about the safety and rules of flying. And again, it's to try and provide the opportunity for a lot of students who haven't flown drones before to get that hands-on experience. So with that comes keeping track of flight logs as well, because eventually if you are interested in this, you do have to have experience with many different types of drones. Currently we have 2 different drones we're working with, sort of a lighter drone that we're working with now in the fall. And then in the spring we'll be using sort of a more robust drone that has more of a first-person view perspective to it. So right now everything is sort of line of sight, and then later on we'll be more watching through a controller to see where it's going. But then again, a big piece of this is really getting the FAA certification with the Part 107, because if you are interested in any form of commercial use for a drone, you do have to have this certification. Currently, the students got something called the Trust certification, which is more for recreational use. So the exam itself is really for any type of commercial pilot. And again, it's going to focus on regulations, airspace, weather, operations, and some other factors. Eventually, you'll have to take a test at a certified site. And then upon completion of that multiple choice test, you'll be awarded with a certificate, which you do keep indefinitely, but every 2 years, you just need to recertify yourself for free online. Okay. And then again, it's really just to show the FAA that you respect the rules of the air and you understand the rules of airspace, which is one of the big pieces of it. So what's next in terms of where this class could go in the future? Well, there's something called Pix 4D, which is like a 3D mapping software. So some architectural firms may use this. You fly the drone around and it'll sort of assemble high resolution 3D models using Adobe Premiere and using the drone for videography purposes, filmmaking and such. One of the professors I was working with over the summer uses their drone for monitoring crop yields and by getting spectrographs from the field itself with a special detector on the drone to then help farmers create more efficient yields. And then lastly, working with first FPV drones or building drones out of components themselves. So just a little shot of our campus here. Okay, and as you can see, it's pretty mesmerizing once you have that controller in your hand and this is the view you get. So I think that's definitely a big hook. So again, thank you very much, Dr. Hatter, the board, for your time and my administration here. So thank you.
Thank you. These are two great courses going in. This is pretty amazing. So thank you. Start with questions. Catalina, did you have any questions on either one?
Can the students in 9th grade take these classes, or is there a prerequisite? Can anybody take it? Can students elect in going into 9th grade?
So right now we don't have any prerequisites for it. Maybe a co-requisite would be algebra. In the future, as it gets more complex, maybe we're going to have geometry as a prerequisite. But right now, we're just keeping it at algebra.
Okay, so some students who took algebra will be able to take
as a co-requisite. They can take it at the same time.
And then are they both full year courses?
This is a full year course, but it's a half credit. So it's like It's like phys ed right now.
Okay.
So it's half the week in the spring, or fall, half the week in the spring.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm very excited about both of them. Crom Pond I know uses drones, so a lot of the kids are going to be very excited.
Mike?
No, I think it's fine.
Rashmi? Carol?
This is very exciting, both of the classes. Miss Monaco, I have two boys who recently graduated. One's a film music acting major. The other son's an English major. This would have been ideal for one and both of them. And I actually think one of them, or I can't even remember which one, but one of them is actually taking this class at the college level. So I think this is just spot on, a great expansion to our curriculum. And the drone class is wonderful. I think it's great. We sort of experimented with a club, and now we've expanded to a class. And what an opportunity for our students. I think it's wonderful. And congratulations for such success with the club this year. That's amazing to be in the top 6. So really well done. So thank you for bringing these classes. I know it's not easy to get new classes started. It's a lot of learning and investigation and canvassing to see if we have, a student population who's interested. So thank you for putting that time and commitment into this.
So thank you. I was going to piggyback on what Cheryl was saying as far as the film course. Are you working in conjunction with the theater arts department and seeing if some of those kids want to take the course, because it just kind of blends right in with everything that they're passionate about. So I don't know whether you're having a lot of success with that. So that's one thing. The question on the drone for the licensing, is there an age limit at which point they can get their license? You got to go to the microphone. Sorry.
So there are a couple other requirements, and one of them is you do have to be 16 to get your certification. Some of the other ones are like being a U.S. citizen, being of, able, mind and body. But yeah, so 16 is the lower end.
Okay.
But they could always still take the course, be prepared for the test, and then wait till they're 16 to actually take the test themselves. So
Yeah, it's young. I think it's great, though. That's awesome. Okay. I'm so excited. Yeah. Did you want to, Miss Monaco? Did you want to answer the question about the bringing the theater arts kids in, or? I'm sorry.
Yes, it's open to all. As far as I know, ninth grade too. Yeah, so anybody can take it. It's a half-year class. We are in the process of doing that. Interest, trying to get the word out. I did ask or let my seniors know. I teach 2 classes of seniors that this was going to be available as well. And then I think the video that you watched will be added to the page in the guidance section of the high school website where kids can investigate those electives a little bit more. So hopefully that'll generate some interest.
Oh, I think anybody seeing that video might want to join. That was great.
It's a fun program. So
it's great. All right. Thank you. I think it's an exciting program.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Thanks. Oh, go ahead.
Just to add into what Ms. Monaco said, all the elective teachers make up recruiting videos in essence, and they share that with the guidance counselors. And what the school counselors will then do is they meet with students and parents on an annual basis to set out the schedule. Is they'll either show it, direct it, or talk about it. Ms. Monaco's class is second semester, so we have a lot of time, and there's still a lot of scheduling that still happens by second semester to recruit more kids into the program. So
That's terrific. All right. Any other questions? We're good. Thank you. This is great news. Thank you very much. Ron, anything else?
Oh, just thank you to high school administration, certainly, Mr. DeGennaro, for your leadership, to the teachers for stepping up to teach a course. You didn't have to throw your name in to come out of maybe what your comfort zone is or what you've taught in the past, but you did. You recognize the opportunity for students that the high school can offer, and you took this on, and we truly appreciate that. When I think about what our high school has done with regard to the rest of the region, an engineering sequence in high schools wasn't very commonplace 4 or 5 years ago. We've done that at our high school. And some of the other courses, and I won't go through all of the courses, but now this drone course, not only is it a drone course, not only is it a course in aeronautics, but you can come out certified as a drone pilot. I don't know of many schools in our region that are offering that opportunity to children. So whether it's data sciences, whether it's engineering, whether it's now with this new opportunity, I have a feeling in 2 or 3 years from now, it'll be widely offered. But again, we take the lead, and I really appreciate Yorktown High School taking the lead, not just locally, but just across the region and across the county. So thank you. Kudos to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing the great work that our students are going to do. And Sharik, I remember that very first meeting and the passion that you spoke about drones and how excited you were to present this topic. And it was so rewarding to see the team that you led, that you initiated, qualify for this competition in Oshkosh, because the prestige is getting there. And it's where you finish when you get there is terrific. But I think it's only 12 teams in the country get invited to this event. This is not it's a large event. It's a huge event. But there aren't hundreds and hundreds of high schools that qualify for something so prestigious. So the fact that Yorktown High School was represented halfway across the country is just absolutely remarkable. So congratulations to you and to your team. Very well done. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And so that concludes that portion of our presentation.
Dr. Hatter, if I could just chime in. I remember many years ago when we first started our robotics team in the high school under your leadership. Then we started robotics in the middle school. We host those competitions. And now, I think the amazing courses we have in engineering and now with aeronautics, it's really kudos to your leadership. I think our students and our staff, our building leadership, they're actually able to execute on the ideas that our students come with because they know they have the support from you. So East team, and I think we really lead by example from you and your office about what that means. So thank you for that.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Want to give them 2 seconds to run out?
Yes, we'll take just a quick couple-minute recess to give you the opportunity to make eggs. First period starts
Quick
early
exit,
tomorrow
yeah.
morning.
All right, are we ready? Jason? Okay. We are up to our first public comment on agenda-related items. Did anybody sign up? No. Okay. So we're going to move on to our superintendent's report.
So I have a presentation to deliver this evening with regard to our facilities planning update. Would you like me to send you another copy? Okay. So I'll give some updates while we're uploading that presentation. I'll give some updates. First of all, the storm from Friday evening was incredible and just absolutely scary at many times. The amount of rain that came down as part of this story was certainly something that we don't experience quite often in this part of the region and this part of the country. I hope everybody had safe travels. We made the determination to cancel after-school activities, which did impact largely a PTA event and some sporting events, athletic contests that we had scheduled. So I understand the inconvenience, but when you look at what the region was experiencing, the prudent call was to have people off of the road as soon as we were able to. Certainly people off the road around rush hour traffic. So we made the determination to cancel the activities. With regard to damage to our buildings, there was very little water damage that we experienced. We did discover a couple of leaks that we had. Those have been since repaired, but for the most part, when I see what other school districts experienced in our region, we dodged a lot of that. Fortunately, the bus drivers, I just have to give a shout out and a thank you to our bus drivers. Those are not easy circumstances to navigate and to drive a bus, and let alone to have the responsibility of 60 children on the bus. And our bus drivers did a phenomenal job through the storm. It was raining during pickup, and it was raining at dismissal. And I was at the dismissal of each of our schools. I was at the high school, middle school, and Crampond, I would say, dismissals. And it was a very, very efficient operation, very cautious, very careful. So just a thank you to Total Transportation, Now First Student, and all of their drivers for their great work. And the dispatchers, that's the other part of it. I would hear over the radio, a road was closed. The dispatchers would immediately come on and help the driver to reroute the route to ensure a seamless transition from the designed route to the new route, a detour that maybe the driver hadn't driven before or experienced previously. So the people who were back at the dispatch office did a tremendous job as well. There was a lot of just minor detours that our drivers had to account for. There were 2 fire alarms that went off at Yorktown High School today. I feel like I need to acknowledge them because it really disrupted the day. They were from a faulty smoke head near the kitchen area of the cafeteria. It did disrupt our day at 2 points during the day. One later in the morning, one early in the afternoon. The children were incredible. The staff were incredible. We evacuated. The fire department's response was excellent, timely, and they were just incredibly communicative throughout the process. So my thanks to the Yorktown Volunteer Fire Department for their partnership and their work. We had that smokehead service today, so I don't expect any more disruptions for tomorrow. But I did want to acknowledge that with our community. The auditorium stage floor is nearing completion at the high school. We anticipate by the end of next week, we'll have the stage back up and running just in time for our fall show, which is scheduled for November. And this way our students performing on stage, whether it's a theater, whether it's the dance company, whether it's a band, orchestra, chorus, will have a beautifully renovated stage to perform on. There was a football game this past weekend, I'm sorry, not this past weekend, the weekend prior, where the Yorktown Central School District honored the Yorktown High School football teams of 1993 and 1994. The 1993 team won the first ever state football championship, and the 94 team, of course, won the second ever high school football championship in New York, and we honored them. We also honored the youth football program, hundreds of children in the youth football program and the youth cheer program. So just so wonderful to see so many people attending the game on a Friday night and just a real sense of community at the game. So the next home game is this Friday night. All are welcome to attend. I ran into so many community members who shared that they didn't yet have children in the high school, but heard this was a great community event. No cost to get in. It's a donation if you choose to make a donation. But so many members of our community who have children in Crampon, Mohansick, or Brookside, or even the middle school, are attending the games because it's just a great, great community event for us. So thousands of people we had at the last game. We're expecting that for our remaining games as well. So just a tremendous environment. So many other things on the calendar. I would just ask that you check our website regularly. Way too many things for me to mention in this update, but please do go to our website. We're keeping it active. We're keeping the content current. There was an update sent out today. I'd be remiss if I didn't share that dogs and pets are not allowed on school grounds. I'm going to continue to reiterate that point as we move through the school year, because it's just something that we're observing, and then we're observing the remnants of having dogs on the campus. So it's just something that we'll continue to communicate. At this point, I will transition into a presentation on our facilities planning, and I will take that presentation from the podium. So some of these slides you've seen already. So for those who have seen the first presentation and then the second presentation and now this third presentation, some of the content is a duplicate. And it's important to reiterate the point and continue to make the same point, because this information, although it can be found on our website and you can certainly read the slides, hearing the presentation in context is important. So any opportunity to share the presentation in context is one that I'll take. So the first steps that we've taken, and again, the first steps that school districts in general will take, is they'll think about three factors. What programmatic needs do we have? So now we heard about an aeronautics course. We need a space for that aeronautics course. There's specialty equipment that will be there. There are ceiling requirements that you're going to look at if you're going to use a drone indoors for just small test flights. Needs a place. Engineering, robotics. So many of the other wonderful programs that we offer just need a space to house them. Then we look at student needs. How do we best meet student needs? And what are the student needs? Are student needs calling for smaller class sizes? Are student needs calling for specialized instructional programs? And then how does that compare to our capacity in each of our schools? And then beyond capacity is, well, what enrollment increases can we project? We've seen an increase this year. Our numbers are back over 3,400. We had a slight decline to 3,393 last year. We're at 3,418 this year. So we're seeing essentially a 23 student increase. And the needs of the students are also growing as well. And I'm not counting pre-K numbers in any of the numbers that I provide. That's an additional 120 students that we've added. And then you hear about all the development in town. And that's certainly something that's real. That's something that we're monitoring and paying very close attention to. We had our own study on enrollment projections commissioned. And that also, the numbers were a little higher than what the town has shared with us, as we anticipated they would be. But all of those things lead to a need to expand capacity. And so we've taken some steps already, and these have been shared previously. The common question, the question that I most often hear is this idea of reopening French Hill versus modest additions on the 3 elementary schools. And that's a really, really important conversation. I would encourage anyone in our community to go visit the facilities update website or facilities planning website that's located right on our homepage. And it speaks in detail about some of the cost analysis that we've done. And then if you click on the link, you'll get a deeper, more exhaustive cost analysis that speaks to the annual recurring expenses. If we do modest additions to each of our schools, those annual recurring expenses are minimal. Opening an idled school requires a hiring of principal, assistant principal, office staff, 2 cleaners during the day, 2 cleaners in the evening, psychologist, social worker, nurse's office, health office assistant, attendance office, SRO, security personnel outside, security personnel inside. We haven't put 1 student or teacher in the building yet. It requires a new bus run. A new bus run would be $480,000. That was last year's price estimate before we go out to bid for a new contractor. So that number will only increase. When we look at all of those factors, the cost of operating French Hill really isn't feasible because of the tax impact that it has on our community. So if we can expand on an existing building, we already have a principal. We already have an assistant principal and all of the other staff. The only one possible position that I can think of would be another cleaner at night to clean the new wing of the building. We already have the bus runs and all of the other infrastructure in place. The renovation costs, believe it or not, on French Hill are comparable to new construction costs on the 3 elementary schools. French Hill was idled, I believe it was 14 years ago or somewhere in that order, prior to a lot of the technology upgrades, prior to so many of the security and infrastructure upgrades that we made in each of our other campuses. And to retrofit French Hill with what our current school buildings already have would be comparable to the cost of new construction on each of those elementary schools, except without the recurring annual expenses of opening a new school. Our process has been pretty straightforward. There's been a lot of planning. My thanks and commendation to the steering committee of the board. You have spent so many hours meeting with the architects, construction managers, building principals, district administration, reading surveys from parents and community members. We had over 560 surveys from our community. This was a very important topic to our community, and the number of people who responded to the survey demonstrated that. And what we heard was in sum and substance that would be captured in our current plan. And for our community, those responses are all posted online. There's full access, unedited access to all of the survey responses and comments. And based on all of that feedback and all of the input and all the meetings, conversation, study, and research, we came to this conclusion of these 4 bullets, essentially. Small expansions to the elementary schools, some really important and long overdue upgrades to our middle school and high school. Those upgrades are outlined in the slide. A multi-purpose turf field for our baseball and field hockey teams, but can also be used as a practice field by other sports and also as a recess field for the middle school. Quite often we've heard that when it rains, the middle school students are not able to go outside. Well, they're not able to go outside because the middle school field right now does not drain well. So for the next 2 days, there's a lot of mud on the field. And inevitably, a child will fall as they're playing recess, and they're dirty for the rest of the day in terms of their pants and sneakers. And it's not really an environment conducive to learning. So the field is not just an athletic investment. There is a very practical and daily middle school application here as well, where barring temperatures and icy and snow-covered conditions, our children will have the opportunity to go outside for recess more often. And I think one thing that we would all agree on is that middle school students do need to have that time to get outside and play and enjoy playing outside for recess. This will do that as well. So it's not just an athletic investment. There's an investment here in our middle school recess as well. And then certainly security upgrades for all of our schools. That came through loud and clear in the survey. Our community has voiced their opinion that security is really important. Safety and security comes first. I'll just quickly go through this. This was in the last presentation, but just very quickly. There's a 6 classroom addition, top left corner of Brookside and top right corner of Brookside. In the aggregate, it's 6 classrooms. Mohansick, it's a 6 classroom addition, top left corner of your screen. Crampond is the same, oh, pardon me, I got ahead of myself. Crampond is the same, 6 classroom addition, bottom of the screen. So there's a lot of study that goes into these classroom numbers. They're not arbitrary numbers that have been selected. We look at what the enrollment tells us, what the projections tell us, what the student needs and programs tell us, and also the aidability factor. Our district, for every dollar we spend on construction, gets 60 cents back in aid. That's substantial. We want to maximize the aid revenue. And anything larger than a 6 classroom addition, based on the numbers that we have to share with the state, may not be aidable. There are some incredible upgrades and necessary upgrades at our middle school. This only shows one of the levels, but there are upgrades happening to the other levels as well. Classrooms will be have the old cabinetry removed that really don't function very well anymore. Lighting will be upgraded to LED lighting, a more sustainable, user-friendly or student-friendly experience, I should say. Doors, hardware, ceilings, floors, and fresh paint. We're also looking to upgrade our music suite, chorus, band, orchestra, all so important parts of our instructional program, and those classrooms need a lot of updating. Our art rooms as well. And this space, the cafeteria. This is the one space that every child in this building passes through every single day. Yorktown High School will also see some upgrades. Art rooms, band, orchestra, chorus rooms, science research rooms. Some additional implications here. The turf field that I referenced, it's the field to the right of the screen that has the baseball diamond on it. That would be the new addition. The field to the left is already existing on the campus. Site lighting. We want safe travel across the community, across the campus, I should say. Middle school, high school, up to the administration building, all the way around the driveway of the middle school to the exit. And right now there are spots where our security lighting needs improvement. We've recognized that, and that's something that we would include as part of this bond proposal. Security hardening at all schools. I can't get too far into the technical points of the security hardening, but we are looking to make some security investments at each school. And then certainly everything that we do will have an eye towards sustainability and will be ADA compliant. Now, with regard to bond costs, we anticipate that we'll have about $40 to $45 million for this bond. That would result in a tax-neutral bond. And it's tax-neutral because there's expiring debt coming off, and it would be replaced with this new borrowing. So the first proposition would be in the amount of $40 to $45 million, and it would not result in an additional increase to the tax rate. Now, I just want to separate that from the operating budget. So it's important to note that we haven't begun planning the operating budget for the 24-25 school year at this point. So I just want to separate the two conversations when I say tax neutral, no additional increase to the tax rate. As far as this project goes, we're anticipating a $40 to $45 million project cost. That includes everything that I just shared with you. And that project would not have an increase to the tax rate. So I just want to clarify that piece for our community and certainly for everyone here. However, there are additional facility needs that we have that exceed the $45 million. So we would be considering a second proposition that would be contingent on the passage of the first. So if the first proposition is approved, we would present a second proposition. They're important needs. They're not emergent needs like many of the emergent needs that we have. We need space for children. So the additions to Brookside, to Crampon, to Mohansick, those are emergent needs. The children are coming and we need seats for our students and capacity to do that. The other items in the first proposition are all important and emergent. These are important projects. They're not emergent, but they're important. And as we look at renovations of the Mohansick cafeteria, the kitchen and servery area, an additional turf field. So as I go back to the previous slide, If you look just north of the baseball field, we would be looking at turf in that area as well. The second proposition would call for an outdoor restroom structure and concession stand structure. That would provide the restroom facilities that our athletic complex really needs to operate successfully. At any one given time, we can have thousands of visitors on our campus, and we currently have portable bathrooms that are in use, and we just upgraded to 8. We had 3 prior to the 8, the 5 more that we added a week ago. The second proposition would result in a modest tax increase, if that were to pass. The first proposition would not. The second would. The amount would be far smaller than the first proposition. We're still working to identify the cost of what this second proposition would be. The steering committee has another meeting coming up a week from tomorrow where that conversation will continue. And once we have a cost for the second proposition, we'll certainly share that, and we'll certainly share the tax impact as well. So next steps are straightforward. They've been the same next steps that we've had throughout this process. We're going to continue to work on the design, continue to scrutinize every option that's presented to us, both from a student need and a fiscally responsible perspective. We're going to hopefully have designs to the community a little later this month or early November. The tax neutral proposal, that first proposal that we shared, that's important that we maintain that to be tax neutral. Those just kind of non-negotiable, really essential items that we need in order to service the students who we have. That will continue to be our priority. We have a facilities needs website. I encourage anyone to go visit that site. It's very user-friendly. All of the information is there. All of these presentations are clipped and posted to that website. Community survey with all 560 responses are posted. Every question that there's an FAQ document, every question that has come up at this point has been entered into the FAQ. So all of the information is there for our community to read in the spirit of community and transparency. We are anticipating a Q1 vote. Now, I know Q1 is pretty broad. It's January, February, and March. We're still refining when that will come to fruition, and once that information is had, we'll certainly share that with the community. I'm happy to take any questions. Not much has changed since the previous presentation, except for this concept of potentially offering a second proposition.
Thank you. Mike, do you want to start with questions?
Well, I don't have any particular questions. This is a lot of stuff that we are aware of on a daily basis, but I do want to thank the steering committee and the administration for all of the steps they've taken to communicate this, make it very transparent, make it easy for the community to identify, what's happening, and if they have any questions, to be able to ask them and have them answered, and then, as you mentioned, putting those up for everybody to see, I think is terrific. So we'll discuss some more of this in the next fiscal advisory committee meeting, which is coming up in a few weeks. But as far as the steps itself, thank you.
Rashmi? I'm going to skip you for one second. Catalina?
No, I'm good. It's nice to see the second proposition, so people are aware. That thank you for the steering committee for really looking at, it's not emergent, but it's important.
Thank you. You're on steering. That's why I went back to your letter finish. Go ahead.
No, I actually I don't have anything. I just, we've been working, I don't want to say tirelessly, but we have been working often and rigorously to really meet the needs of the community and our own our school community. So, just make sure you come out and vote first quarter.
It's difficult because we know there's a tremendous amount of work you can always do, and to try to work it where it's tax neutral or, as least an impact to the community while still meeting the needs of our students and our staff it's a juggling game, and we seem to do that at every meeting, juggling it around, because it needs to keep popping up too. So I think everybody who's on the steering committee, because I think everybody's really invested in doing the right thing and working really hard together to do this. So thank you, Ron. Are you done with your superintendent's update? Okay. What are we up to?
Action items.
Okay. Action items. Can I have a motion to approve the September 18th executive session meeting minutes and the September 18th business meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye opposed. Can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for June 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Can I have a motion to approve the claims audit report for June 2023?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. A motion to approve the extra classroom report for June 2023.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Kathleen, is your microphone on?
Hello.
Oh, that's better. You got to talk into it. Okay. Policies. The board will conduct a second reading and adoption of the following policies. We have 2210 annual organizational meeting, 4321 programs for students with disabilities, 4524 school libraries, 4531 field trips and excursions, 4770 graduation requirements and participation in the ceremony, 9150 anti-fraternization, and 9151 anti-nepotism.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Deletion, be it resolved that the following policies and regulation be deleted from the policy manual because they are obsolete and unnecessary. Policy 4000, student learning objectives, 4200 curriculum management and its regulation, and 5800 student awards and scholarships.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we have our first reads. Board will conduct a first reading on the following policies. Policy 100, non-discrimination and equal opportunity, 1740, relationship with non-public schools, 2382, recording of board meetings, and 5210, student organizations and clubs. Did anybody have any questions or comments on any of them? Nope, we're good? Okay. And then we have the following policies that were reviewed with no changes. So I guess we don't need a motion, we're just going to announce them.
Mm-hmm.
4327, home instruction, 5312.1, tobacco, drug, and alcohol use, 8413, transportation for non-public school students, 8414.5, alcohol and drug testing for safety-sensitive employees. Okay, we're up to personnel. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion that the following be approved. We have certified personnel appointments, extra duty, CTA stipends, volunteers, corrections, removal from the substitute list, and a resignation. And under classified personnel, we have appointments, additions to the substitute list.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Business office. A motion to approve the appointment of the attached district-wide school safety team for the 23-24 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A motion to accept the internal auditor's risk assessment report for the year ended June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Rashmi, when will we know which area of focus you guys are going to go with?
So this is the external auditor's report. So that's
No, this is the internal
The
one,
internal
the risk assessment.
Oh, the risk assessment. Yeah. So for next year, we picked capital assets and facilities. Yes, because that would go in well with I think the superintendent's update from this evening, looking at facilities overall. So those kind of
Okay,
we try to combine the timing.
so that's the
For
next
next year,
focus.
yeah.
Okay, thank
And
you.
they start working with Lisa's team in a few weeks, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then a motion to accept the external auditor's report for the 22-23 fiscal year.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And thank you again to the business office, that was amazing. Overnight field trip, a motion to approve the Yorktown High School trip to Rochester, New York for the NYSSMA Mixed Course All-State Conference on November 30th to December 3rd, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Special ed, a motion to arrange the following placements as of October 2nd, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A motion to approve the independent contract for the 23-24 school year for Clear Speech.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Gifts, grants, and donations. A motion to accept with gratitude from the Yorktown High School Athletics $5,537 from the Husker Club for a basketball shooting machine.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Board comments. Catalina?
I just wanted to thank Dr. Hatter again for the presentation, and I think every time you make the presentation, it really answers a lot of questions, even though you've said that. You know, I hear the same comments about French Hill, and it really explains it. And also exciting that the high school is expanding their, you know, all the courses that they're giving. So.
Perfect. Mike?
No, just a great presentation tonight on the courses at the high school. I love the film idea. It's a great way to get students interested in not only that aspect, but then the written part of how do you evaluate those things. So it's fantastic. And thank you again to the business office for a terrific audit. Very, very happy to hear.
Rashmi?
I'm all set. I've said everything.
Cheryl?
Yeah, I don't have much more to say other than thank you to YHS for coming out tonight, and it's great to see those two new classes, one East Team oriented, one humanities oriented, and always appreciate the teachers who take the time to want to, like Ron said, to come and to put through a new class and learn that new curriculum. So it's very exciting for our students. Thank you.
Yeah, I echo what Cheryl said. It's great, and I am glad there was a humanities piece added in there. Of course, I know that it's something that we've asked to make sure we keep increasing, so we thank you for that. And again, that audit was amazing, so thank you for the entire administration. Ron, thank you for all your work with the facilities and trying to get this bond. It's a lot of work. We thank you, though. Anybody else? No? Okay. Is there anybody for a second comment? Nope. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.